Hey there, folks. Ben Farrell for Benn Farrell Freelance. This is episode 24, and we are going to show you how to do a table reading. Hey there, folks. Ben Farrell for Benn Farrell Freelance. This week I'm going to show you what a table reading looks like and good ways to host one, especially if you're a playwright or a screenwriter. Now, a table reading or a table reading party, it's important to hear your material out loud so that way you can hear your dialogue and catch anything that seems kind of awkward, sounds awkward. Sometimes just hearing it out loud is a lot better than reading it yourself. You'll catch a lot more things. Now, for me, a table reading is very important when I'm trying to gain objectivity as I'm editing and doing revisions of what I've spent so much emotional time writing. However, by the time you do a table reading, you should be emotionally withdrawn from the material, so that way, by the time you get to a table reading, that will help you make your final revisions. Now, if you want to know how a table reading fits into my 5 steps to gaining objectivity towards what you're editing, then go back to the episode that is marked objectivity, and that will help you through. But for now, I want to show you how to actually put one together instead of spending the whole time talking about why one is important. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to define what a table reading party is. It's simply hosting a bunch of friends, colleagues, or family members over to read what you've been working on. So you're creating a gathering, maybe create a Facebook event and invite the people that you think are best to show up who would really enjoy it. Also keep in mind the optimal number of people to invite and have show up, so that way everybody can read a part and very few have to double up parts of your play or your screenplay because they're going to read them out loud, and that's part of the fun. Also keep in mind that this gathering is also a way that you can gain immediate feedback for your draft before you start revising your final draft. So let's get started. This is how I put together a table reading party. Now, besides the reading, you also want to do a party. So you want to add food and you want to have booze. Now, since I scheduled it late in the evening, I don't necessarily have to feed them dinner, but I do want to offer them food. So I have a 3-bean salad coming, I have a green salad coming, some garlic crostinis, and then I have some little smoky sausages that I'm doing in the crock pot with some onions and some beef stock and Worcestershire and some seasoning and some butter and some olive oil. That way, if anybody does get hungry, they have something really nice to snack on. Over here is where I'm going to be setting up the drinks and the food. And with the drinks, you want to make sure you have a nice array. You want some soft drinks, but you also want some hard liquor, some beer, and some wine. Also, rather than have people lounge around on your sofas or on your floor reading your play, set up a dedicated space for it so that way they can be face to face and engage each other as they're reading. It's not about acting, but it is about trying to get them to engage with each other through your material. I like scheduling my readings to be when people show up, and then an hour later is when the reading actually starts. That way it gives a chance for everybody to kind of chat and get to know each other, or if they haven't seen each other in a while, it gives them a chance to catch up. Also, for when they arrive, I like setting out my copies so that way if anybody wants to grab it and start taking a look and maybe pre-reading a little bit before we actually read it out loud, they have the opportunity to do so. I don't think it's a bad idea to set out some of the things that you've written in the past, especially if you self-published them or if they've been published before. Remember, you are creating a gathering, so you're on the cusp of birthing something new as far as the material you've written, so it wouldn't hurt to have something that you've written before or some other things that you've written before kind of join in that gathering as well. Also, in an effort to create the perception of value for what people are about to read, maybe it's nice to dress up for the event. Even if you don't tell your guests to dress fancy, I suggest you dress a little fancy just to show that you're giving your work a little respect, and the event a little respect, and them a little respect. Now I'm good to go. Another suggestion I could make is specifically with the people that you invite to the reading. Now, on this occasion, the play that I'm having my guests read has a theme of severe memory loss. So I thought it might be fun if I invited people that I haven't seen in 20 years and people who I know each other, but they haven't seen each other in 20 years, so that before we start reading our play, you have that moment of guests arriving and trying to figure out how they know each other. And it fits into that whole loss of memory theme, whether they knew that or not. So after an hour of socializing, have everybody sit down in your dedicated space, thank them for coming, and maybe give them a brief synopsis of what they're about to read. Once you've done that, let them go to it.
Loose around his neck, slacks, and nice shoes. He is returning from a day of work. With his car keys in hand, he sifts through the
I wasn't sure if you'd go.
Why is that?
laptop. Her notebook is in front of her, and pen is in hand.
Because that's how we do it these days. So, when do you left? And remember you saying there may have been financial issues, sexual issues, and family issues involved.
He went through chemo for a couple years, and last I remember, he was in remission and doing pretty well.
I'm sure you wanted to talk about your memory. Were you able to do that?
I know. I just wanted to be sure you knew.
So that sort of infers both of you had attempted to work on your marriage.
On occasion, we crossed paths on liking the same music, maybe the same TV show.
That wasn't fair. I know you must still be hurting, and I had no right.
So after you've had your table reading, make sure you take some time to actually point blank ask them what are your initial thoughts. And make sure you actually listen to what they have to say. Lastly, ask them to digest what they've read, and if they come up with anything else that they're not thinking about after reading it initially, maybe they'll come up with something after they start to digest it. So invite them to send you messages on how they think your play could be that much better. After those couple of weeks, give yourself some time to digest their input before you go into your final revisions, and I promise you, when you go to write what you're going to consider your final draft, you will be far more confident about it. This is Ben Farrell for Ben Farrell Freelance. Thanks for hanging out with me.
It's been 2 months, guys. It's time for a new contest. Come on.
Yeah, so we gotta have 3-sentence stories sent our way once again for the next 2 months. Tell us your 3-sentence stories to go with this photo.
I know, guys, that was a pretty crazy photo.
So get those 3-sentence stories in. If your name is pulled out of our drawing, then you'll win a free copy of one of my stage plays.
And this stage play that we are doing is Morning News.
Morning News. It's a play about small town news, and you can learn more about it by going to benfarrellwriter.com.
So stay safe and keep watching our video. Bye.